From Montana's news leader, this is the MTN 530 News.
57 years ago today, President John F. Kennedy was in Billings just 2 months before his death. Q2's Krista Rose and Jay Cohn bring us a look back. And COVID-19 contributes to 5 more deaths across Montana as state health officials report more than 300 new active cases for a second day in a row. Good evening, everyone. Thanks for joining us tonight. I'm Jeanelle Slade. Well, one of those 5 deaths reported here in Yellowstone County. A woman in her 70s from a local senior living facility died in the hospital yesterday. 3 of the deaths confirmed today are reported in Roosevelt County, and the 5th person was from Wheatland County. The death toll across Montana has now reached 170. 323 active confirmed cases today has pushed the state total to more than 2,700. Nearly 9,000 Montanans have recovered, and at least 140 people are in Montana hospitals tonight. Well, the Northern Cheyenne Reservation is clamping down with a complete lockdown set to begin at 6 p.m. this evening. Tribal leaders say deaths are on the rise and hospitalizations have increased, and the measure is necessary to protect residents, especially elders. Curfew will now be in effect from 6 p.m. until 6 a.m. on the reservation. The lockdown will be in place through Monday, October 5th. BIA police will assist with enforcing the curfew and lockdown. On the Crow Tribe Reservation, an executive order has been extended through September 30th. That order also implements a curfew from 9 p.m. until 6 a.m. daily and fines if not followed. It restricts social gatherings to less than 50 people, mandates social distancing, and requires masks be worn in businesses. Now, only one of Montana's 56 counties is yet to report a single coronavirus case, and that's Petroleum County in central Montana. With around 500 people, the Petroleum County is the least populous county in Montana and has the 8th fewest number of people of any county in the nation.
Number one, it is a very small population. However, their testing numbers are pretty statistically consistent with the percentages being tested in our other counties. Like a lot of our counties in Montana, there's a significant older population in that county, and our experience with Petroleum County is that they very definitely care about and take care of their elderly.
Now, despite those low numbers, health officials say it is still important to take precautions to prevent COVID no matter where you live. Well, a Yellowstone County judge has tossed out a 2018 Montana law that restricts the number of ballots that can be dropped off at an election office. Judge Jessica Fair ruled today the Ballot Interference Prevention Act is unconstitutional and infringes upon the fundamental right to vote of tribal members on reservations. Now, the suit argued that tribal members in rural areas with limited transportation benefit from allowing one person to collect a large number of ballots to drop off. Western Native Voice and Montana Native Vote brought that suit, along with several tribes, including the Assiniboine and Sioux tribes of Fort Peck and the Crow. They filed suit against Montana Secretary of State Corey Stapleton, Attorney General Tim Fox, and Commissioner of Political Practices Jeff Mangan. Now, the Ballot Interference Prevention Act passed with 63% of the vote in 2018. It restricted who could collect and limited drop-offs to 6 ballots per person. Well, another ruling out of district court today will allow ballots to be counted that are postmarked on Election Day. The state Democratic Party argued allowing postmarked ballots levels the playing field with urban and rural voters. Judge Donald Harris ruled as long as an absentee voter gets a postmark on their ballot on November 3rd, their vote will count. Now, the ruling is for the November election only and is expected to extend the Montana vote count by several days. And some good news if you are still behind on filling out your Montana 2020 census. A U.S. District Court last night came to an agreement to extend the deadline to October 31st. This will allow more time for a complete count of our state's residents, also passing additional funding for census outreach. Governor Steve Bullock commented, saying a complete count in the 2020 census is a foundational part of shaping Montana's next 2 decades. Now visit 2020census.gov to fill out The simple and very quick form. Took me about 5 minutes. Now turning to Chief Forecaster Bob McGuire. Bob, the smoke is still hanging around. It could be heading out, but we have another warning that's just going to follow.
Yeah, let me show you what's happening out there. There's the smoke. This is a smoke forecast. And look at that darker stuff over there east of Billings. Well, that's over there by Hysham. Got a big fire over there, so that's kind of puffing a lot of smoke in that part of the world tonight. So here's what's going to happen this weekend. Smoke coming from other places. That's going to go bye-bye. Look at that. The wind just blows that out of the way, but because that fire is still going there east of Billings, it's going to continue to pump out a little bit of smoke here or there, and so we're looking at smoky conditions. But right now across much of Montana, our air quality is good to moderate, except for up there by Malta. We have some unhealthy air in that region. And here's another thing we were talking about. We have another red flag warning for much of south central and eastern Montana. This goes in effect at noon tomorrow and goes until 9 p.m. Here again, high winds and low humidity will actually cause a lot of fire danger, and so just going to heighten that fire risk across much of the region on Saturday. And we'll have the rest of your forecast in a few more minutes.
All right, thanks so much, Bob. Well, back in 1963, President John F. Kennedy toured the West to promote environmental conservation. And today is actually the anniversary of President Kennedy's stop right here in Billings. Q2's Krista Rose gives us a look back with help from Q2's Jay Cohn, who was there with his 6th grade classmates.
John F. Kennedy was one of America's most popular presidents, and in 1963, he set off from Washington on a 5-day tour of the West to promote conservation and the efficient use of our country's natural resources. He would stop in places like Cheyenne and Tacoma, Salt Lake City, and Las Vegas. But on September 25th, Kennedy became the first president to visit Billings since Woodrow Wilson.
Billings, Montana. The crowd at the airport is large for a city of only 53,000. But that's over 100,000 hands.
Q2's Jay Cohn was there, not as a reporter, but as an excited 6th grader.
Well, I was in the grandstands at the Yellowstone County Fairgrounds where they had bused us from the Highland School down to see President Kennedy speak. My first chance to ever see a president in person. I remember the excitement. It was a big deal.
And while his trip was aimed at promoting conservation, Jay doesn't recall the 15-minute speech having much to do with that.
You know, it wasn't that far removed from the Cuban Missile Crisis. So one of his topics was the nuclear test ban treaty, which was like, we were in the, I had no idea what he was talking about, but it was just cool to be there and watch it.
And though the test ban treaty may not have inspired excitement in a young 6th grader, Kennedy, always the fan of literature, ended his speech in Billings with soaring rhetoric by quoting author Henry David Thoreau.
Eastward I go, only by force. Westward I go free. I must walk towards Oregon and not towards Europe. I walk towards Montana. I express my thanks to all of you.
Jay was with about 17,000 other Montanans applauding Kennedy's speech. And an equally large crowd showed up in Great Falls the next day to watch Kennedy not only give a speech at Great Falls High Memorial Stadium, but to make a house call.
En route to his speaking engagement, President Kennedy stops for a brief visit with the father of the Senate Majority Leader, Senator Mike Mansfield of Montana.
And then, of course, 2 months later, he was assassinated, and then that really hit home, and that was, you know, that solidified those memories forever, and to this day, that's what I remember.
But Jay is one of the lucky ones. He has a unique keepsake from Kennedy's visit, passed down to him by his father.
After his visit here, my dad gave me this tie clasp. It's a Kennedy PT 109 tie clasp, but I think they gave out as a memorabilia of his visit to Billings. And I see where it's really a hot topic for memorabilia and collectors around the country. But I've always had it in my tie clasp drawer. And whenever we're doing stories about the Kennedy visit, I bring it out. It's pretty cool. And for me, it's a great memory of that day.
Reporting in Billings with Jay Cohn, Krista Rose, MTN News.
And a very special thank you to Jay for sharing his memories, and a big thank you to the John F. Kennedy Presidential Library and Museum for giving us the video and photos for the story. Up next on tonight's MTN 530 News on Q2, from big backyards to state-of-the-art basements, the Parade of Homes celebrates 30 years in Billings. And in sports, final round action from your Eastern AA Golf Divisional, plus Scott sets up another football Friday night.